job or a life. So a career based on my education. So I had that fire in me, and that fire actually gave me a lot of advantages in my life, a lot of connections, a lot of growth. And throughout my career of 10, 15 years now, I worked across the globe on various talent acquisition positions for various clients, anywhere from a small, mid-sized flower shop all the way to companies like Caterpillar, Universal Studios, 21st Century Fox, Lockheed Martin, and even Defense Department of Defense for United States. So the opportunities that came were not out of luck, but out of struggle and fight. So that is what every one of you need to keep in mind. The opportunities are not going to come to you. You have to go and seek them, and that's how it comes to you, right? And today I'm employed with Idatalytics. I'm taking care of their US recruitment process. I also take care of their visa holding and complete operations for US branch. And I also do a part of my role was basically when Krish, the CEO of the company, approached me and said, Sharath, we are having a lot of problem hiring local talents in Kerala. He had a good upbringing in Kerala, as well as one of our other co-founder. Both are Malayalis, and they could have easily set up a branch office in Bangalore or Hyderabad or Delhi, and they could have operated their business. But they said they wanted to do it in Kerala. They wanted to do something different, and both of them are U.S. citizens. Okay, they are in U.S. and the fundamental problem that we faced when we are hiring, doing campus hiring was people are highly educated in Kerala. Okay, let's get that over with. We didn't have any problem with education. Everyone was masters or bachelors or even PhD holders. But the problem was what they studied, they could not put it to purpose. They could not show the dedication that they put into studying and getting marks into career. That conversion was missing, and we hired a lot of people. They could not survive and they had to leave. And that is when we designed a program like RP2, wherein we bring them in, the interested people, explore, give them the opportunity to explore themselves into the market. It's show what the reality of life is, the career life is. Then let them make a choice whether they want to continue or not. If they continue, we are ready to give them a job. That was the whole concept of RP2, and it's running beautifully. Our most recent batch, which came out, got 75% placement. The remaining people, we have given them a test. If they complete the test, we are still ready to hire the remaining 25%. So that is the whole thing. So let's understand. So you guys are done with your BCA or MCA, and there is some social pressure, obviously, from whether it's your teachers or from the neighboring auntie or your relatives or anyone's. Comparing is a normal stature of life right now. Everybody compares, saying that okay, his son has got a campus placement. What is happening in your college? Or forget about campus placement. Are you doing some interviews? Get a job, get your life. In 5 years, you have to get married, or in 3 years, you have to get married. Start worrying about your career. And most of you are like, okay, everybody is saying get a career, but how do I get a career? Where do I start? How do I start? And what should I be looking for as a career? Right? It's not like I did a BCS, so let me become a developer. No. And there are at least 40 to 50% of students in every college I go who doesn't want to become a developer. They are like, okay, I did programming for the sake of completing my course, but this is not my life. I want something else. But I want to be in a software field. What are my options? So those things, these are the things what we'll be exploring today. This is not just a marketing seminar about RP2. I'll be explaining what RP2 is designed for you in the last 10% of this webinar. But the initial stages are what are the opportunities? How do you get it? What are the ways you can try? And how much opportunities are left in the market, right? So to begin with, so you guys know each other in your college, right? And you're saying 100 or 150 people among you, you're thinking, okay, this is what is the world. No, if you look at Kochi, around we have around in Kerala altogether, we have around 30 to 40 lakh students coming out of colleges, right? and a good 60% of them are getting jobs. 60 to 70% of them are getting jobs. But how many of them are getting jobs in the field they are studying in? Most people, even today, to this factor, I come across people who are having good academics. They want to write PSC test and get into government job, right? And this is the only trend what we see in Kerala. If you come to other states, like I'm in Bangalore, if you take Andhra Pradesh or Maharashtra, the number of people actually going to college, studying, and trying to get into government jobs are very few. But if you look at the most IT people who what they study, they try to get into the IT field itself. And less than 25% of this 60 to 70% people who get jobs are actually into IT field. Where are the rest of them? They're either completely into sales and marketing, or majority of them are waiting for the PSC result to get into, IT jobs. Or some of the female members are actually married and they are settled at home. So this is what happens in Kerala market today, the IT graduate market. This is what is happening. And what we are coming to tell you is there is a change. There are a lot of hiring options available for you guys. And what are the change options? So let's look at the career opportunities, right? You're coming from IT background, and the first thing that goes in your head is programming, right? All of you think that, okay, developer, let's become a developer. So what are the options if you want to come to the programming side? What are the options in front of you? These are the few 14 titles that I'm just showing it to you. There are multiple fields under this. Front end developers can be anywhere. You can further segregate it to multiple things. You can become a React JS developer. If you take mobile engineers, you can get into Android, iOS. So if you get into game developers, there are plenty of gaming platforms available. If you take embedded systems, again, it's another section of the programming side. Hardcore programmers usually try to get into the embedded systems. Cybersecurity also is one of them that you can include in there. That is becoming a trend along with Python in Kerala right now. You go to any college and ask students, "What are you doing?" "I'm studying for cybersecurity." Right. So let's say in next 1 or 2 years or 5 years, we'll be seeing a lot of hackers in Kerala. Maybe, I don't know. So the trend that we see in the industry are these 14 titles if you are actually getting into the programming side of the business, and you can choose career under these sessions. I have added QA here because there are some QA positions wherein you need to have really good programming skills. QA is not the same QA what it used to be like 5, 10 years back. From manual, when it became automation testing, people thought, okay, no need to know much programming language. You can actually simply, anybody can become a tester with a 2 or 3 weeks course. But now testing has become very complicated. There are testing platforms available for individual programming languages or particular scenario or particular industry. So QA has actually become a equally challenging role like a developer today in the industry, and it commands equal respect to a developer position. It was not so long time back. So out of these positions that is in front of you, what are the most trending technologies in the market, and why do you need most trending technologies in the market? Um, for example, I have a position for Salesforce Burst consultant. Burst, around 15 years back, Burst used to be a very active platform. Salesforce acquired Burst, and they were bringing in a lot of clients. They're asking a lot of clients to implement such systems and work on it. Then it was acquired by Infor, and the whole platform changed again. So, but after that, Salesforce completely abandoned that category, and Salesforce actually started its own platform, CRM platform, and that kept continuing going forward. So, if you look in the market for Burst consultants right now, all over India, you will find maybe around 200 to 300 people, and very they struggle to get a job. So once the project is over, it's very difficult for them. They get really good salary. Okay, we have a Bush consultant in our company. We pay him upwards of 45 lakhs. So they command a good salary, but once the project is over, he will struggle to find a job. So skills in demand, the most active skills in demand right now are AI, cloud computing. You take cloud computing includes everything, the Google, Amazon, and Microsoft, and all the other. There are plenty of cloud offerings out there in the market. Most people don't know it. When we say cloud, generally what comes into mind is Azure, Google Cloud Platforms, and AWS. But there are a lot of other cloud platforms available in the market right now. Not very popular, but they're doing good. They're $1 million business. Again, it's not a small business. You can get into data analytics, data science. You can get into software development, web or mobile apps development, programming languages. You can take any programming languages such as Java, .NET, Python, or any of these things, and software testing basics. So these 5 or 6 platforms have been alive for a very long time now. Data science was not very prominent until recently, but it was always there. Okay, we just didn't start processing all the data from 50 years or 20 years in 2012. It was there before, but the valuation of that was not as prominent until the AI became the IoT and everything came into business and it became a prominent factor. So now these technologies, if you get into these platforms, if you choose your career in any of these platforms, 6 platforms, you can assure yourself that for the next, let's say 15, 20, 25 years, you will have enough opportunities available in the market to look for space. Private industry is not like you have to get into a company, stay there for 4, 5 years or 10 years. There are people who do that, but very rarely people stick. Until they get around 5, 6 years, we expect you guys to change at least 3 to 4 or maybe 5 companies. Okay, from the recruiter side, we don't expect you guys to sit in the same company for like 4 or 5 years once you start, because your salary hike will be very less compared to if you jump. You When you jump, you get around 30-40% hike, sometimes 100% hike. And when you sit in the same company, you cannot expect more than 15% hike, 15 to 20% hike. So that is why people actually jump a lot. Okay, and these are the platforms wherein you will find plenty of job markets. If you go to uh, Naukri or any other Indeed or any other platforms, I start looking for Azure jobs in Kochi, you will find at least 100 openings for in that cloud platform, right? And at least 10 to 15 of them will be for freshers, including Salesforce, right? If you go and look for Salesforce platform opening in this area, in Kochi area, you'll find at least 10 to 15 job openings, which is coming up every month, right? So these platforms are where you will actually start building your career. Some stable platforms you want to choose, these are the ones. If you are ready to take risk, if you're adventurous, like I showed you before, there are multiple opportunities for you, right? And now coming to the completely other side of the business, the functional side of the business. So if you are one of them who think that, okay, program is not my cup of tea, and I want to be in IT industry, but I don't want to do programming. What are my other options, right? How do I build my career in IT industry without being a programmer? So the options for you, there are still many options for you, right? You can become an analyst, you can become a business analyst or a data analyst, or you can get into QA testing. Again, there are plenty of automation testing opportunities, which doesn't require you to become a huge programmer. There is a SAP testing tool known as Worksoft. It's not a heavy platform. I've had a lady who was working with me as a recruiter. She actually wanted to try something else, and my company actually offered her to gain internship in Worksoft testing. She did the Worksoft testing platform for a month, and she slowly started getting into projects. Now today she is a project manager at Cargill. If you know Cargill, it's a $1 billion company. So today she is a project manager over there. So, and she was not good at programming. She had literally no idea about programming. She was a BCom pass out person, and she could get into IT. So QA, literally, we have a saying in US: every housewife in US is a tester. Okay, it's not hard to learn. It doesn't take much time of yours. Just like developers will be spending 12 to 15 hours of their day on this, but Testers are not very they don't have very demanding job. You can actually track your work life balance with that particular technology. Then you can try UI designer. You can also try becoming an admin. You can become Salesforce admin, Oracle admin, or there are other platforms which are SAP admin. You can get into SAP Basis, which is an admin platform in SAP. So these are the other side of IT industry, which is a good area where if you're not great, or if you don't want to spend doing programming or coding, you can try these platforms. And these are very promising. Don't think that, okay, programmers and developers get better salary than business analysts, so we will not have a career. So why choose this platform? I can just go and get some other job. Actually, these platforms gives a long-term benefit. If you look at functional people in IT, they generally get paid very less in the beginning. Let's say a programmer will start his salary with 15,000 or 18,000. The developer, the functional guy might start with 12,000 or 14,000. So it's not much difference in the initial. But once you start gaining your knowledge and your expertise in a certain industry, let's say you start your career in business analyst in a retail industry or oil and gas industry, energy industry, and you start working through the same kind of clients, and after 10 or 15 years, your valuation is much, much, much higher than the developer at that point of time. At least there will be a 5 to 10 lakhs difference in your salary between both of you, and you will be the client person and he will still be the developer. That is why in the industry, if you notice, most developers after 10, 15 years, 10 years, they start going for PMP certification, project management. They go for a green belt, yellow belt, and other say a Six Sigma certifications. Why? Because they want to get into the functional side. Because after a certain time, there is no much growth in the development sector. So eventually, every IT person will try to get himself converted into functional side, and then he progresses in his career. So if there are people who say that MBA is, if an engineer does a MBA, he has no brain function. He is just doing it for no reason. That is the reason most engineers go and do MBA, to get into the functional side, right? That is why such opportunities are available. So if you want to be in the IT industry and you don't want to be in the programming side, but you want to develop yourself career in IT industry on the functional side, you can become an analyst, business analyst, data analyst, software testing person, automation testing person, UI designer, or you can even become an admin, any software admin for that matter. And you can still be in the IT industry and you will be having a good, decent salary and your life and your career in this area. So, like just like how your sir actually introduced me into the program, he was talking about the employability part. So every employer client has his own employable characters that they build up, right? For example, one of my client was into tobacco industry, right? And they had a particular requirement. Anybody they want to hire, they should be smokers. Okay, they won't hire non-smokers because smoking was completely allowed at the work location stations. So they won't hire pregnant women. They don't hire people who don't smoke. But you cannot literally come out and say that, hey, you are a non-smoker, you're not getting a job here. If they say that, it's illegal, and candidates can put lawsuit against the company. So companies literally don't come out and say what are the qualities that they look for people. They just do it through interviews. So that is why if you are really good at some interviews, you didn't but you still didn't get a job, that is because there are some hidden characters that the client had, and they didn't find that in you. It's not just one particular quality. If you think, okay, I have 80% or 90% marks, I got myself trained in Python, somebody has to give me a job, absolutely wrong. Employability is not just two or three characters, it's a group of characters, right? It has a lot of things. So I'm a recruiter and I still do recruitment. I call people to analyze what they are. I'm not a technical person. If you ask me to sit and do a coding in Java, I have no clue what it is. but I know how what a Java developer should have, what are the skills he has, what are the technologies he'll be using, how he'll be using, what are the things he will be encountering in his daily business. So these are the characters I know. And when a recruiter like me calls a Java developer or a fresher who wants to get into it, I am looking for qualities that is attractable and acceptable for my company. So Idatalytics has a certain type of people that we try to have in our family and as our employee, and that is the kind of people I'll be looking for. So that is a lot of areas that we actually try to see if that kind of person is acceptable. So I always insist communication, communication, communication. It's very, very, very important in IT industry because the most you are working with the most diverse career ever. Because when you get into IT, you cannot say that your clients are only from Kerala, right? First of all, your programming language and your interaction language will always be English, nothing else. If you think you don't have to learn English or any other language and you can still survive, not possible. You need to be a good communicator because whatever work you do, you need to be able to explain to the client or even your team lead or your teammate what you actually did. And this communication happens in English because when you come outside the team in structure, even if you are working in a company in Infopark and 99% of people around you are Malayalis, look at the client you are working for. You will have a Malaysian client or an Indonesian client or an Australian client or a US or European client. These people will not study Malayalam just because you are Malayali, right? You need to start interacting with these people. And if the interaction goes wrong, if they are not getting the right support from you, project will be lost. It is that severe. We had situations in our company wherein our employees, we hired a senior employee and he could not manage the client because his communication was so bad, and we had to let go of that project. The loss will not be in lakhs, it will be in millions. Okay, it will be in millions. So it's very sufferable. So what we did was we shifted that project to Bangalore and we hired a person over there and we had it completed. So communication is really important for an IT person, whether it's functional or technical. You need to have a good communication control with you. And what you say should be easily legible and understandable for the other person, and whatever the client requirement is there, you should be able to understand and actually work according to it. Emotional intelligence is basically we have a lot of breakdowns, that we see across the HR field. A lot of employees break down because of their personal reasons or due to other reasons, money lending problems within the company, other things. There are a lot of things, and all these emotional negative energy which is there in you, how do you convert it to the positive side? That is emotional intelligence, right? Some interviews, if you go through, you will not get many technical questions. You will be given questions like, okay, give me some scenarios wherein you had a lot of trouble and how did you control and come out of it. That is a question what answers the emotional intelligence part of you, right? How are you able to manage your emotions, control, so that the outcome is always positive and to the best interest of others? How do you do that? How do you culturally fit with the company? How do you plan your work? As a developer, you'll be spending 12, 10 to 12 hours every day. Okay. You think I'm exaggerating? No, because I know this firsthand because my wife is a .NET developer. She's a full stack .NET developer in Accenture. And I see her getting and logging in at 7:30 in the morning. And I see her logging out somewhere. Sometimes she logs at 5 o'clock, but most of the days she is logging out of at 6:30 or 7 o'clock in the evening, and she gets one or two breaks in between. So life of a developer is not easy. It's tough, and as you progress into your career, you have less and less time. That is the whole reality of it. I'm not demotivating you, but this is what it is. Okay, you need to understand that. And life of a recruiter is not different either. You are looking at me, right? I just completed my night shift and I'm sitting in front of you giving a webinar. And this is a life of us too. So once you progress in your career, Don't go with 8 to 5 timing, or you think that in a day there is 24 hours. It's all about completing your task which is assigned to you. And the faster you complete, the more time you have to spend with your family and friends and sleep, basically. So these qualities in front of you, right? How do you manage your time? What is your attitude towards work, or to your peers, or to your clients? All these things actually brings in the employable qualities in a person. And this is what is judged in interviews. And interviews are where we can understand. That is why you have video calls, in-person calls, and telephonic calls, and multiple rounds of interview to filter out people and try to get each of their quality assessed and see if he is a good fit for the team or the company. So this is what is done. If you think an interview is a question and answer session, it's not. It's actually a platform wherein the client or the recruiter or the project manager is trying to evaluate a person based on the qualities or assets he brings to the organization. That is what is done in interview. Once you understand the whole concept of this, it's very easy to clear interviews. When I started my career, I had to go to at least 40 plus interviews. I still remember. Every company in Bangalore, I have been there. I think in 2004, 5, sorry, 5, 6, I was here at literally every company's gate with resumes. I think I spent more money on printing resumes than on food at one point of time in my life. And I've stood at company gates at 6 o'clock in the morning to get inside and come out at 5 or 6 in the evening. We won't even have time to have food. So I'm referring to Infosys. Actually, that is a company where I had to go through around 7, 8 rounds of interview. I used to be at the gate at 6 o'clock in the morning. Even then, I will be like a 40th or 50th person, and the queue used to go for hundreds. We used to be bought into a huge theater-like hall. There used to be 2 or 3 halls, and they used to every hall you go through, they used to filter people based on these employable qualities. I still could not manage to get a job there after many trials. So life is a struggle, right? You have to fight. Until you fight, you will not get the results. And every company, what you go through in your life going forward, is looking for these employable qualities. You understand and master how to express these qualities to the interviewer, you will crack interviews like anything, right? So we spoke about, what are the characters, what are the platforms available, how do you come at, what are the environment out there. So what is RP2, right? You're in RP2 webinar today, and what is RP2 doing here? What is RP2 coming and getting involved with? What are we doing in this business? We are actually trying to help people connect with their disconnect with their student life and connect with their professional life. That is what we are doing. It is a very hard thing. People think it's very easy, but no. Students, even I was a student at one point of time. The brain actually functions entirely different when we are students to when we are professionals. I think the sir can relate to me over here if he looks past at his experience. Student life, we are crazy. We have the blood flowing every part of our body, and we are like, let's do something crazy. Let's trip. Let's do that. Let's this. The only thing we'll bend our head is when we are going to our parents to ask for money. So to do all these fun activities. But in professional life, it's entirely different. Uh, you are in control of yourself, right? Whatever you do comes reflecting back to you. That is not how it happens in the student life, right? Your friends, you can do whatever you want, you can get together, there are people to help you, there are multiple things, and you have a lot of time with you apart from the exam time when you guys go and study. But other than that, you have a fun life. Coming to the career life, it's a hard transition for a lot of people, and a lot of people actually don't survive the IT industry, right? A lot of people actually, even good educated, good qualified with high percentage of mark students, when they come into IT industry, they work for a year or two, and they cannot continue and they move out, right? My classmate, she was third rank holder in Mangalore University. She could not do it. She could not get into a professional life. uh, she was she was a rank holder from plus two, right? Plus one. So She was really good in academics, but she could not survive the field. And eventually, she actually took a teaching profession. So there are people who could not get disconnect from the student life and get into the professional life. It's not easy. So RP2 actually brings both of them together in a fun way, right? We try to minimize the friction between these two areas. So what we do is we bring in students, we counsel them, let them know what their qualities are, which platform, whether they are good in technical side, if they are not wanting to become a programmer, what are their options other than programming, non-programming side like analyst, admin, or a QA. What are the other platforms we can provide them with? So the counseling is done. Once the counseling is done, we start introducing them with our Idatalytics senior staff. We have 10 plus years certified developers in various platforms. So they get involved and they come in touch with you as mentors, and they give you study material. And slowly, once your technical knowledge is at the acceptable level, they start giving you assignments. These assignments are coming from the real project that these mentors are doing right now. For example, if one of our mentor is working on a Kansas City Southern requirement, let's say they have a Salesforce project. Kansas City Southern is actually a railway company, just like Indian Railway. Kansas City Southern is a railway company in US. So they have a Salesforce requirement, and we are doing a project for them. And you come in as a Salesforce admin or a developer person for this group, RP2 group, for this mentor. He will start pulling out small assignments from that project and give it to you. And he will make sure that you are learning on the job. Basically, you're doing live work, live software, the most recent versions of the software. That is one more thing. In RP2, we are not using old machines and old pirated softwares. Every person gets his individual software. We actually buy and subscribe for it. Azure learning software usually costs around $100 to $200 per month. Salesforce also comes at a similar price. And Power BI, if you go to any tools, they have a $100 plus cost. So we actually acquire them and give it to individual candidates, install in their system, and allow them to work on these individual platforms. And you actually gain more working knowledge and more, what do you say? You will be more upskilled than actually having a classroom training, right? And you're working on a more live project. And the reason we do it is RP2 is not doing this whole thing to train you and give it to somebody else. We actually hire most of the people who are successful. If we find some people are really good, they're giving their best, they're having a lot of scope, we actually acquire them. And from the previous batch, one of the person was so good, we actually gave him an offer to go to US also. We do process H1B visas, and we do send people to US from India. This year we are sending around four of them. And this RP2 member, once he completes 3 years with us in Idatalytics, he will also get an opportunity to go to US, apply for the visa and go to US. So it's all about bringing that student life out and bringing inculcating the professional software life in you, whether it's technical side or functional side, and bringing up. And during this time we do a lot of other activities. It's not just study. We actually before COVID, we used to get in our office and we used to have some fun activities. We used to go out, we used to have games, we used to have personality development programs. We had interview training skills, we have LinkedIn training skills. How do you update your profiles in LinkedIn? How do you get connected with a lot of people? Believe me, there are RP2 consultants who joined in March 10th. This is just June, right? This is just 3 months getting completed, and they have more than 900 connections in LinkedIn. And most of them, before even we went and started giving them offers, most of them had done 5 6 interviews and they had got offers from somewhere else too. So that's how successful the program was. So we had to give counter offer to many of them to say that, hey, come and join us, we trained you, don't go somewhere else. We will give you more than what others are giving, but stay here. So that was the situation we were going through with RP2 program, and that's how successful we were able to get them to a professional life, right? And what are the tracks we do? It's very important to know that we offer in 6 tracks. We don't do Java or .NET or others because we don't have projects in them. If you look at most mid-sized companies, they'll be specialized in one particular area. Let's say one company, they are very particular in database side. There will be another company which will be heavily focused on Salesforce. There will be another company which will be Oracle side, or there will be another company which is more on a SAP focused clients and services. So Idatalytics is more into CRM and Microsoft side. We are a Microsoft Gold certified company. So we are having a lot of certified Microsoft employees with us, and we also do specialized projects for Microsoft and its related clients. So currently we have projects in Power BI, Salesforce. Obviously, QA is there everywhere. We have web application, Azure, and AIML. And AIML, basically, we are actually bringing up our own product. So if you're coming in to data science or data analyst section of RP2 program, you will be working on our internal project, not on some client projects. So we are developing our own product here. So you'll be a part of that system. And Salesforce, if you're thinking, okay, Sharath, you spoke a lot about the functional side. You're talking only about the developers' job opportunities. No, Salesforce, you can become an analyst, developer, or an admin over there, right? And we have all three options for you over there. Okay, web application and Azure is not a heavy programming side place. You don't think that I get into Microsoft Azure, I have to load a lot of programming. No, even Salesforce and Azure, there is very little programming side you can do. Even a general person, even a person from commerce can actually survive. So that's how easy Azure and Salesforce is. Nowadays, the softwares are more user friendly than it used to be. Like only brainiacs can do that work. Okay, so if you're thinking you're not much into programming, you can still have many options in RP2 programs that is available for you. And if you're choosing a track, right? Let's say you are choosing a developer track or analyst track or an admin track, what happens to your career? Earlier I told you, right? In 10-15 years, eventually everybody will be converging to the functional side, and that's what you will see in this diagram, right? You take developers, analysts, admins, whatever they are in the beginning stage of their career, eventually they will end up in one particular session of the IT market, right? That is how the progress goes in. Eventually that is where it goes. If you want to stay a developer for 15, 20 years or 30 years, you can be a developer for 15, 20, 30 years. But the professional growth, if you want to get into the management side or you want to get into the client facing side, you will have very less opportunities at that time. You will be a very lead developer, that's it. And at one point of time your salary is going to stagnate. So that is why most people get into functional side, so that they can still start getting increase in their salary, right? I've seen developers stagnating at 40, 42 lakhs. Then they get into the functional side, immediately their salary goes to 50 plus. And this is not fictional. I do recruitment for VPs and top end delivery managers who actually come at this salary range. They start at this salary range. So that is how your career is going to progress, whether you are any side, technical or functional side of the business. This is how your career is going to progress. So I just want to introduce few of our earlier candidates, the first batch people actually. Arjun and Anu both are actually sitting in US. We have a branch office in very close to Kansas City in US. Kansas City is in Missouri. Our office is in Overland Park in Kansas. They're like 20 minutes away. So Arjun and Anup are actually sitting in office. They're part of our data science team. And Vijesh and Arvind, these guys are sitting in our Kochi Infopark office. So we have few other people. There were around 7 people in our first batch. Not many people trusted us to join us because it was very innovative. And at that point of time, there was a particular investment to be made in terms of the fees. And people were very skeptical at that time. And these 7 people who trusted us joined us, and only 1% left us. Remaining all are still employed with us. It's been a couple of years now, few years now, at least 3, 4 years now, and they're still employed with us and they're working on our active projects. And these are our previous batch people. We had around 17 people in our previous batch. And as I said, we are planning to hire around 7 or 8 of them. We are ready to give them offers. Few of them we have already given them the offers, and the remaining we are going to give them a certification test. If they are able to clear those certification tests in 1 or 2 months, we are going to actually hire them also, right? So that is the advantage we have. If you actually get into LinkedIn, I'm not sure how much you are into LinkedIn platform. If you get into LinkedIn, search for Idatalytics and RP2, Rounded Professional Program, you can see all these people, the work they did, and how their profile is built, how professionally it looks compared to other professionals out there, and how accessible their profile is. And that shows a difference and the transition from the student life to the professional life, right? From clicking on Facebook to clicking on LinkedIn, it was not an easy transition, but they were ready to do that once they started seeing the difference, and people connecting with them saying that, hey, Arsha, are you ready to get a job? You say that you are intern in Idatalytics on web application. Are you ready to take an interview? We have a job opening. When they started getting such calls from recruiters, that's when they started realizing that the student life is done and the professional life is started, and let me start developing this part of my life. And that change was seen in literally all the people. They all attended interviews outside. Most of them didn't tell us until they got the offer, but most of them had that characters and they did it. So the program fees for RP2 is around 25,000. We accept 2 or 3 installments. And if you're coming from a college, a group of 10 or more, we give them certain discounts. Current batch, we had a group coming from SNGST with a batch of 10 people. We gave them discounts. They actually did a project that you get in project centers. You go to project centers, you pay a nominal amount, and anybody can get the old projects. This is not that. They were doing RP2. Literally, the entire stuff in RP2, they were doing it, and they wrote their own codes and they created their own projects. And this was a huge, huge, huge hit in SNGST. Even the teachers were surprised the way few of the students, the way they spoke in English and did a presentation. We got a lot of good positive vibes from the faculty members in SNGST. They actually gave us a good feedback about the way some students, they struggled 2 3 years to change them. They could not, and they came here for 3 months and they started seeing how they changed from the childish behavior to becoming a professional appearance, right? The whole change, they actually gave us a good comment. And the first hit was when 14 people submitted the program, and 10 of them were our projects which were got approved. Out of the 14 projects which got approved, 10 of the projects were ours in the whole batch of around 30 to 35 students in that class. So that was a good reaction within the teachers, faculty. They actually promoted this. They actually started understanding that getting a random project is just anybody's game, but work experience, gaining experience, and just coming out of a job after a project, that is completely unheard of. You go somewhere and do a project and you get a job in the same place. That was literally unheard of in entire Kerala. And Idatalytics actually made it happen. So that was a difference over here. So they spent 25,000 with us for 3 months, and they will make that same money, more than that money in 2 months, in the next 2 months. So they get the returns on their investment in less than 6 months. That was a whole concept of the program. And that is what which has happened now. So the next batch, actually, we started getting registrations in June, and from July 1st, we want to start that batch. So if there is anybody out there in the group who wants to get into a job environment, this will be the best time for you to apply for RP2 program. We don't take literally everyone. There are limited seats available. We do not take more than 20 people in a batch because we focus on quality. We will not just hire literally anybody who's coming and saying that, hey, I have 25,000, get me into the program. Doesn't happen. we have a limited number of seats, and if you get into those seats, it's available for you. Right now, we have close to around 8 to 9 applications already approved, and they will be starting our project very soon.